tanking wise, this will shock a lot of people, but I would say priest tanking.
Wow.
That's priest raid tanking. I actually need to specify even here. Priest raid tanking, believe it or not, you can get much further in the game than you would think.
Jamming, yeah, jamming. I hope you like a jamming too. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jammincast. Welcome back. It's episode 9. You're here. I got some really cool stuff. We got What's News, we got What's Jammin', as always, and then this week's interview, we're talking to a World of Warcraft YouTuber, Caperfin. He likes to do some really crazy things in World of Warcraft Classic. He's played a lot of Classic over the years. He's played on a lot of private servers. He's got a lot to say and a really cool things to talk about in regards to the crazy stuff he gets into in World of Warcraft. So stick around, hang out. It's going to be a beautiful ride. Let's go. What's news, everyone? We got so much to say this week, so much to talk about. Just a lot of things that are going on. I'm going to cram it all in. All right, here we go. We're going to right into it. So Queen Azshara, the race to world first, it's over. But there were some really interesting things that happened. First off, it went 12 days. This is a 12-day adventure that we saw on Twitch from this race to world first. And they hotfixed it on July 26th around 10:40 a.m. because the guilds were stuck on the Azshara encounter on this minion. This third minion would berserk after 2 minutes, and it was just wiping raids, so they nerfed it. They nerfed Queen Azshara's minions now berserk after 3 minutes in Phase 3 on the Mythic encounter instead of 2, and that really opened up the floodgates and opened up the doors eventually. You know, it still took a couple days. That was July 26th. It wasn't done until July 28th when they actually beat it. Quite a couple days later, obviously. Exactly a couple days later. And Method claimed the world first race and became the first team to down Azshara on Mythic difficulty. The raid took 12 days and 1 raid reset, and Method's raid was composed of 16 damage dealers, 2 healers, and 2 tanks. They had 1 Frost Death Knight, 1 Havoc Demon Hunter, 1 Retribution Paladin, 2 Assassination Rogues, 1 Fury Warrior, 3 Balanced Druids, 1 Beast Mastery Hunter, 1 Fire Mage, 2 Shadow Priests, 1 Elemental Shaman, and 2 Affliction Warlocks. And then their healers, they had 2 Discipline Priests as their healers and 2 Brewmaster Monks. And their average item level was 435. So to do that, to be the first person in the world to defeat Mythic Azshara, you have to have an average item level of 435, apparently. Some really interesting stats from Method. Commander Savara, they wiped 0 times. They had 1 pull, basically. Blackwater Behemoth, they wiped 0 times. Radiance of Azshara, 0 times. But Lady Ashvane is where the first start, it started getting a little bit more difficult. Lady Ashvane took 37 tries to do it down. Orgozoa, I like to call him Gorgonzola just because it's funny. 58 attempts on that one. Queen's Court took 17. Zakul, the boss before the final boss, took 169. And Queen Azshara herself took 356 pulls to down. That is a lot of pulls for a boss. And speaking of the race to world first, it was a lot of people watching this. A lot of people watching it this week. They barely beat out the Fortnite World Cup. So Method's channel just barely beat out the Fortnite's channel. For top channels by hours watched, as reported by the Esports Observer, there was 4.6 million hours watched this week for Method versus 4.4 million by Fortnite. But this is all including all week. And Fortnite broadcast was only 3 days of broadcasting. It was only live for 21 hours total. So it's a really crazy to see this. Method did beat out them just barely, edged out that. But Fortnite still had 4.4 million hours watched versus Method's 4.6. And again, it was only over 3 days for Fortnite. And Fortnite, holy cow, I don't think I'd ever thought I would talk about Fortnite. Because personally, for me, I've never played it. I see it as a bunch of kids playing it, and my big draw and big push away from it is the building aspect of it. I don't want to have to learn how to build a skyscraper while I'm trying to shoot someone. So for me, and sorry to all you Fortnite people that are listening for turning you off, I'm gonna have to try it now. I mean, looking at these numbers, this is crazy. So something to say about this event: over 19,000 fans attended the 3-day event. On Sunday, during the solo finals, concurrent peak viewership reached 2.3 million across YouTube and Twitch, making the Fortnite World Cup the most watched competitive gaming event, excluding China, of all time. And these numbers do not include game viewers and other social media streaming platforms. Insane. Absolutely insane. Much more than I ever thought video games would do, or Fortnite would do. I mean, video games entirely. That's insane. That's crazy. Video games really taking a step up and kicking some butt with this. And speaking of kicking butt, Booga wins $3 million. Psalm comes in second, winning $1.8 million. And that's something I want to talk about in a minute. We'll get back to that. But Booga wins $3 million. This is insane prize pools. You look at Tiger Woods winning the Masters, and he gets $2.8 million. Of course, he has sponsorship deals and things with Nike, and he makes money off all that. But Booga wins $3 million. If this guy doesn't get some sponsorship from this, I would be surprised that it doesn't. And I think it's only going to go get bigger. But is it a bubble? Is it going to keep getting bigger? Is that just a thing that happens now? Do we just get larger and larger and larger with these? Is this enough money? Is this too much money? It's insane. It's crazy. But it's also really awesome to see because, listen, video games are awesome. And everybody should know that. I do want to talk about Psalm, though. Psalm is a ex-Heroes of the Storm player. And when he left his team, it was a big deal. He left his team at their peak. They were doing amazing in Heroes of the Storm. Nobody understood why Psalm would want to leave. Yes, there was more money in other esports, but why risk it? Why chance leaving an esport that seemed solid, seemed steady at the time, the best team on it in North America? Why chance going somewhere else, leaving and moving off onto your own thing? And he said, I want to get more money. I want to make more. And everyone was mad at him. But you know what? He just proved that everybody, and honestly, especially with the fact that Heroes of the Storm died almost 6 months later after he left, we see that he makes $1.8 million in a tournament for Fortnite. Hell yeah, man. More power to you. I'm happy for you. Honestly, you got to say that I was one of the people upset that you were leaving. But you made the right choice. It'd be silly. It'd be silly to, especially with the way Heroes ended up. But you did a good job, man. And holy cow, that's awesome. I thought it was also interesting to note that Zalia, another ex-Heroes of the Storm professional, was playing on Method. He was their discipline priest, one of their discipline priests, and he was healing. It was really cool to see Zalia, a Heroes of the Storm player, get part of the world first, participate in that, and then to see Psalm the same week win $1.8 million playing Fortnite. It was just kind of cool to see those old connections come back together in different ways. It's always good seeing that. And then there's another World of Warcraft thing going on. So a new build is being pushed to the public test realms for World of Warcraft. And there's some very interesting new features. Lots of things we already knew about and some things that were a surprise. So some things we knew about. Worgen and Goblin character models are being updated. They talked about this at BlizzCon last year. The faces and animations for our friends that have been announced, that have been around since Cataclysm. So these characters that I look at them and I see them as high fidelity, and I forget that they've been around longer than the vanilla models were when Cataclysm came out. So Cataclysm, they gave up the new Worgen models and Goblin models, obviously, because they were new characters. I still look at them as, wow, those are really high fidelity. But I can't wait to see what the new ones look in-game, to see what these models look like. Also, the 15-year anniversary for World of Warcraft is coming around. There's going to be a lot of events, a lot of things going on for the 15th year anniversary. This is a big deal for World of Warcraft. Holy cow, 15 years. So if you log in during the event, you're going to get a little Nefarian pet and some other in-game products. You'll be able to participate in 3 unique raids with iconic encounters from the past expansions, along with an old-school-inspired Alterac Valley Battleground. I'm excited for the Alterac Valley Battleground. The raids look exciting too, but I just want to know which raids. I don't know which raids they are. If you defeat all the 9 bosses in the raid wings, you will receive the Obsidian Worldbreaker, a Deathwing-inspired dragon mount. This thing looks awesome. It looks like Deathwing. It's a reskin of a Stormdrake, I believe, but it looks amazing. And for the Alterac Valley participants, you can earn 2 mounts. The Alliance get the Stormpike Battle Ram, and the Horde get the Frostwolf Snarler. So the 15th year anniversary. World of Warcraft, 15 years. Holy cow. That's coming up. A lot of things to earn, a lot of things to do. I can't wait to see what raids they actually come out with, what things we're going to be able to do and participate in. I mean, they've already done Onyxia. Are they going to do Nefarian? Because they've got the Black Dragon. They got Little Nefarian Pet. So we're going to see Nefarian's Lair. Are we going to see some of these old level 60 dungeons? We're going to I mean, they could go anywhere. They could go Mist of Pandaria. They could go Cataclysm. They can go Wrath. It's going to be interesting to see again. Could they do Wrath of the Lich King updated for this? That'd be cool. But, I mean, so much. They could do anything, and saying anything, they would all be cool. They would all be cool to see. Alliance players can earn a new Fuzzy B mount, so apparently there's a new B mount exclusive to the Alliance. And there's an area you can go to and you'll be able to get this mount. I'm actually really jealous. That's really awesome. I want this B mount, but I only play Horde. I only have a high-level Horde character. So sad, too bad. Time-walking raids. Firelands are coming. So while Cataclysm time-walking is active, you'll be able to go back to the Firelands raids and fight Ragnaros again. And then some of the stuff we didn't know about that's new, some of the surprises, is Party Sync. It's this new mode they're introducing. The intention is to make it easier for players in a party to do quests and play together. When activated, everyone in the party will become aligned to the same quest state, including phases. This is also going to include a replay quest feature. This allows players who have already completed certain quests to replay those quests with their friends for rewards appropriate to their current level, regardless of the original level of the quest. So that's interesting and awesome. I mean, like, I'm going to be able to play with my friends. I noticed this leveling a character recently that I would get into a zone and I would say, have you done this already? Okay, we can't do it. Or they had already started the zone. They were 3 or 4 quests in, and they were already phased out of my existence. I could no longer see them. I would have to catch up to them. So they would have to wait for me to catch up to them. Or we could say, let's just go to a new zone. Let's go to a new area because I don't want to have to figure out which phase you're on, which quests you did, and you don't have to wait for me. Let's just find a new place to go. So this will be really nice, especially for the fact that you can replay the quests. What I want to know is some stuff like what is the gear? Is there gear rewards? Do I get the same rewards that you left like before? Like, do I get the same access to the same item again, newly scaled for me that I'm doing it now? And will I be able to grind a quest and replay it over and over for a specific reward? Is there like, hey, there's this blue item, and then what happens to quests that are like turn in again? Like, here, give the item, turn it in, and then bring it up. There's so many little things that they're going to have to test for this feature before it's ready. Like a turn-in quest that gives you a blue item, right? But you don't have that. So you go to the second person in the quest step. Can I start the quest from the second person who tells me to step 3 feet to my right and turn it in for an epic? Can I just do that over and over and over and get a bunch of epics and sell them? Do I just get gold? Do I just get experience? What do I get? There's going to be some exploitable things. There's got to be some things for this feature, for a quest replay feature. If it's an easy way to get XP, easy way to get rewards, there's going to be something that's going to have to be hotfixed out. But, I mean, that's what's going to come with testing. That's why it's on the PTR. Also, they're relaxing level restrictions on queuing for instance content with friends. So lower level players can now queue for content in their level range, and a higher level player can join them and have their level scaled down. Unlike time walking, when your level is scaled down via party sync, you will temporarily lose access to abilities and powers such as Azerite traits with requirements that exceed your reduced level. So if it's an item that you shouldn't have at that level, what you've been scaled down to, you will not have it. You won't be able to use it. Same with abilities and stuff. So the way your rotation changes, it's going to really change the way you're able to play your character. Your character is going to change when you reduce your level to be in party with someone. And then finally, Recruit a Friend returns in some form. So it seems like there's a merge of the old Recruit a Friend system and the returning player system. Get your friends to come back to Azeroth or get a new friend to come to Azeroth. This is all one thing now. If you link your accounts, you'll be able to see if they've purchased game time, and you'll earn rewards such as unique mounts, unique pets, game time, and more. And the rewards unlock per month and scale with how many months your recruits have been subscribed for. So getting game time for getting someone else to pay for game time seems good. That seems nice. That seems like an easy thing to give out. You give out, if they buy 1 month, I get 1 month. All right, sounds good. I would like that. Gets more people playing. They got this Recruit a Friend. Get the people that are playing your game to recruit more people. Get them to multi-box and see how many accounts they can get going for these unique rewards. Other big news. A new melee assassin, Kira, is a new Heroes of the Storm hero. Heroes of the Storm still doing stuff. As much as I, just talked down about it with Psalm and talking about how it's not, a living game, it is. They're actually adding content just at a much, much slower rate than they've ever been before. And this character had a lot of controversy about her, a lot of controversy going into the fact that a new hero's coming out, and it's not a Blizzard-known hero, right? It's not from another Blizzard universe. This is a Nexus-born hero, the second one, the first one being Orphea. Kira is a melee assassin, and she's the second original character to join the Heroes of the Storm roster. Kira's a powerful, acrobatic assassin who excels at bursting down individual enemies before escaping with her grappling hook. That's Blizzard's words for that last little bit. Really, when I see her, if you watch the spotlight and you see people playing her, she seems a mix between Sonya and Maiev. That's kind of what I see from her. As a melee assassin, very similar to Maiev. She's a very good engage. She's very good damage. And she can, get in and get out when she needs to, but she's not quite as mobile as Maiev. Maiev has the invulnerability jump, and she has a blink, and it's pretty low cooldown. Kira has a kind of a engage, get in there, and then it's a little bit harder for her to disengage, but she still has some options, some mobility options. So it's interesting to see this character. For me, I didn't like the Nexus heroes. I didn't like the idea of the Nexus heroes, and I thought that was because of the idea I wanted only heroes from Blizzard universes. I wanted the StarCraft heroes. I wanted to play the Super Smash Brothers version of a MOBA using Blizzard IP. That's what I wanted. But seeing Kira, I'm actually like, okay, hold on. This character's pretty cool looking. She's got some pretty unique mechanics, and she looks really fun to play. Just like as a character, as a gameplay character, she looks fun to play. And so I'm not upset about this one. Orphea, to me, looked like, I guess I just saw her as a League of Legends character. She seemed to have that kind of, here's a modify on your auto attack, here's a modify on your spell, here's hit this, and you get some mobility and do this. It was a very interesting character design, but it felt way out of place. It didn't feel like a Heroes of the Storm character. It felt like a League of Legends character. And I don't know if Kira fits better into the Heroes of the Storm ideas, but for some reason she gels with me. I get it. I feel it. I got it. It looks good. So I'm excited to maybe try her again. Maybe jump back into the game that I have not played in so long because it just didn't look appealing. And lots of stuff coming up in Heroes, by the way, if you haven't checked it out. They are doing a huge rank system revamp, and they got MMR is now shown, and it's part of your rank, and lots of stuff going on there. Too much to even talk about in the What's News segment. Something else we have to talk about, and this just happened as I was recording, so I need to talk about this, is that Ninja, the streamer, is leaving Twitch for Mixer. And this is huge. He's got millions of people following him. He's got 14,956 subs on Twitch currently, according to TwitchTracker.com. On Twitch itself, he's got 14,718,073 followers. So this is a huge move for Ninja to move to Mixer. It's a big shakeup in the streaming platform industry, And we're going to have to wait and see what this means. Will Twitch respond at all is interesting to think about. How is this going to matter? I mean, did he get paid a bunch of money? He must have been paid a ton of money by Microsoft and Mixer to support this platform. And obviously this means that Microsoft is really gung-ho wanting to make Mixer successful and beyond what it is currently. And so we'll see. This is going to be a big shakeup going forward in the streaming industry, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this shakes up and what happens. So that is all the news that I have for you this week. So much news. It's been one of the longest What's News segments that I've ever had on the show because there's just so much to talk about. So many things I didn't even get to talk about that I noticed going on in the world. So it's going to be a hell of a week next week. But let's move on to my next segment. What's Jamin? What's going on in Jamin's world? Let's go. What's Jamin, people? Let's talk about me. So I beat Spider-Man on stream, the PlayStation 4 new Spider-Man game that came out last year. When I say new, the newest Spider-Man game, and it got quite emotional for me, which I found surprising. I didn't expect to become a little emotional, a little bit teary-eyed playing this game. These open world games, it's really hard to get in touch with the characters. It's really hard to get in touch with a narrative, a story, because the game is so open. You can go anywhere, anytime. They'll say, like, there's a bomber on this floor, go over here. And you're like, no, I don't really care. I'm going over this way. And you have control over where the character goes. So to have a narrative in the game, it's very difficult, which you can see in things like Breath of the Wild, where the stories are very segmented and separated, and they don't really have any connection to each other. It's kind of like a puzzle everything together, figure out how it fits. But it doesn't need to fit together. You don't need the context of the other stories to see the new story because there's 4 of them and you do them in any order you want. So it kind of makes it more difficult. While Spider-Man, you have to do things in their order, right? You can't just, go to the final boss at the beginning of the game. But to get to it, to get to the emotional part, and spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't played it, I don't want to spoil it. So I'm not going to spoil the exact details of what happens, but I'm going to spoil the emotional feelings that I went through and the kind of choices and things that Spider-Man does for this game. He has to make a choice earlier in the game during one of the missions, nearing the end, where you're fighting bad guys, and someone calls him and says, "Hey, some bad stuff's going on near Aunt May. Bad people near Aunt May. You have to come help her." And Peter says to her, "I'm a little busy. As soon as I'm done with this, I'll be over there." And in my head, I was thinking, there's no way. If I found out my aunt or my mother or any of my relatives were in trouble and I had superpowers, I could zip around on spider webs and climb walls and punch bad guys, I would be over there as soon as I could. I would drop whatever I was doing. I don't care that there's people firing missiles at this building. My family's in danger. They might die right now to other people with missiles shooting at them. I'm going to go over there and try to save them. I'm going to go over and try to save my family because they're family. And I don't, that's, for me, that didn't seem like a choice. That seemed like, what are you doing, Spider-Man? How could you stay here and help these people? And it was just a one-off mission. It just happened. And I didn't think about it. I remember mentioning it to stream and saying, that's weird. I would never choose other people over my family. Although, it's Spider-Man. That's what he does. He chooses the correct choice. He's the moral, he makes the choice for everyone because he sacrifices everything about his life for everyone. And of course, it's a story. It's a narrative. It's not real, but it's amazing. It's a great story. So then the finale of the story, the same thing happens. Spider-Man has to choose his family or Spider-Man has to choose everybody. And honestly, it teared me up. It made me feel like, holy cow, I don't think I could have made the same choice that Peter makes in that moment. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I would be able to. And so, Spider-Man is a better person than I am. That's amazing. I mean, it's not that amazing. I'm not that great of a person. So you can't say, wow, Spider-Man's better than me. How great he is. He must be so great being better than me. Yeah, it was cool to see. It's a great game. I don't know if I'll ever even play it again because I've played it. I mean, I could go back in and unlock more stuff, I guess, or try some of the DLC, but I don't really have any desire to do the DLC. It looks fun. It could be fun. Maybe one day if someone tells me you should do that. There's some really cool stuff. You should do that. Maybe I'll go back and do that. But then this weekend I moved out. I went to a friend's bachelor party, and that was awesome. We had a great time. I went whitewater rafting, but more importantly, we went to an arcade bar in Charlotte. It's called Abari. If you're in the Charlotte area, check this place out. Abari is, a play on the name Atari. And they had a bunch of games in there, like old school arcade games. They had Tempest. They had a bunch of pinball games. They had Turtles in Time. They had a couple racing games. And they had this game called Killer Queen that caught my attention that we played. And it's a 5-on-5 arcade game. And it just blew my mind how quickly this game took over and how exciting it became to play this. It's a 2D platform. It reminded me of like Joust, some of these older games that it was like it's people moving around. Whoever's higher than the other person wins the fight. Because there's so many. There's 3 ways to win. It's so hard to explain this game. All right, so it's Killer Queen. You are a hive of some kind of bug-like humanoids. And you're jumping around, collecting berries, and you're trying to get the berries back to your base. The other team on the opposite side, on their own cabinet with their own screen, is doing the same thing, but your games are linked, so that you can see them on your screen, but you're obviously don't have to stand next to them. Each team has a queen, and the queens can kill the workers and each other, but the queens only have 3 lives. So the queens are trying to stop the berry collectors from collecting berries and turning them in. And they're trying to kill each other, because if you kill the enemy queen 3 times, you win. But if you die 3 times, you lose. So it's really dangerous to try to go after their queen, because it's whoever's on top, and it's not perfectly easy to control. You're not 100% guaranteed to get the kill unless you completely outclass the player. The workers are not relegated to only collecting berries. They can also turn into warriors. They take a berry to a little portal. As long as your team controls the portal by the queen touching it, you can turn into a warrior. And the warriors can now kill the enemy queen and the enemy workers, but they can no longer collect berries. So you can win those 2 ways, right? You can either win by collecting enough berries, which is like there's a limit. I'm not sure I forget how many. And then there's a win by military victory, by killing the enemy queen 3 times. So if everybody becomes a berry warrior, you no longer collect berries, you just kill the enemy queen as much as possible. And then the third way to win is there's a snail on the bottom of the screen. If you ride the snail all the way across the screen to your goal, you win. Your team wins. So if your team stalls long enough, doesn't let the enemy team get all the berries, doesn't let the enemy team kill your queen 3 times, but you get the snail in, you win that way. So it's a really a game about deciding what strategy you're going for, and as a team, figuring out how you're going to win. Seeing like, oh, they're really far ahead in berries. We're never going to win by trying to get berries, by competing on berries right now. We need to go for a military victory, killing their queen. Or, hey, we need to go for the snail. We need to get the snail. You need to pressure them with the snail so that they'll stop collecting berries so much. Maybe we don't win with the snail, but you have to at least make them stop you with the snail. You have to force them to pay attention to what you're doing and take some people off berry farming in order to stop you from getting the snail in and stop you from killing everybody and killing your queen. It's a really quick game. Your games only last, maybe a couple minutes. And then you go again. And every time everyone's fist pumping and yelling and screaming and, yeah, we did it. We won. Oh, no, we lost. Oh, God. Oh, wow. It's a great game. It's a fantastic game. Holy cow. Killer Queen. If you haven't found this cabinet, find it. I've heard it's coming out on Steam at some point. But as a cabinet game, it seems way better. It seems way better to just have a bunch of people all there. You can drink, you can hang out and talk to each other. You can step away, you can yell, you can hug each other when you win, or punch each other when you lose. Don't do that. Don't hurt each other. But it's a great game. Fantastic game. That was one of the highlights of this trip I had. Of course, the whole arcade was a highlight. Seeing all these games and playing Turtles in Time again was fantastic. And the last thing I want to talk about is Fire Emblem Three Houses. So I started playing Fire Emblem Three Houses on stream because I have my capture card now and I can put Switch games on. And everyone was talking about Fire Emblem on Twitter, and I was like, I have to play this game. So as soon as I got back from that vacation, I got on and played Fire Emblem Three Houses. So I'm pretty only a couple of missions into the game, but I already chose my house, the yellow house. I chose to be with Claude because Claude is obviously the best. For anyone who hasn't played, he's the most charismatic of the three choices you have. There's two other people. There's a guy with blonde hair, and then there's a girl with gray hair, and they're both kind of stoic, and they're the regal, and they do their thing. I'm sure on a second playthrough I'll have to choose one of them, or a third playthrough I'll choose the third one. But on the first playthrough, right now, I chose Claude because he just, he's fun. He looks interesting, and he's kind of a laid-back character, and he seems to have a better mindset of how, to go about living. He seems to be a little bit more mature than the other. Even though he acts immature, he seems to have a better mature mindset. And I know it's a game. I know it's goofy. He's not a real person, but I love Claude. He's great. And I can't wait to play some more. And I don't know where the story's going. It seems really exciting to play. I don't understand what's going to happen. I haven't looked up any spoilers, but every person I suspect them of being a traitor, or somehow that person's going to betray me, or that person has a second agenda, and that person has a fourth agenda, and this person's evil, and maybe he's not evil. He seems okay. Maybe they were just throwing me off with him being a jerk earlier. Maybe he's not evil. And this girl's evil, and that girl's evil, and that person's blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it's very exciting. I love that game. So far, it's been great. And I've learned a little bit more about how the combat works, and actually have to level my characters up. And at first, I was just letting my main player character carry everything. But I've realized that I'm able, because I'm not playing on classic mode or on the hardest difficulty, I'm able to just grind levels out. So I'm totally able to just out-level the content if I wanted to, by just doing battles over and over and over and over. So whether or not I'll do that, maybe I'll restart the game and start it on classic and put it on a hard mode or something, because I'm starting to understand what I'm supposed to be doing in the game. But it's great. And having all the voice acting and all that, there's just it's a really fun, I feel like the anime vibes from it, obviously because the art style and the videos, really great. Can't wait to play that more. Can't wait to finish that. I have no idea how long this game is, but it's been fantastic. So that's what's jamming. Don't want to go on too long because the What's New segment was so long. And then I got this beautiful, fantastic, exciting, glorious interview with Mr. Caperfin coming up. And a great interview. Really excited to give this to you folks. And I'm motioning with my hands as I'm pushing it out towards you, into the microphone, into your ears. Here it comes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jamencast. I'm here. I'm joined by a man who does World of Warcraft content on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out, it's youtube.com/Caperfin. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's how you say it.
Caperfin?
Perfect.
Okay. You think Caperfin? Do people have...
Caperfin.
Got it. Okay. So how you doing, man? What's going on? How's your week been?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Just recently, Warcraft Radio was announced, so I'm pretty hyped.
Yeah, I saw your video about that. I don't know what Warcraft Radio is. What is Warcraft Radio?
Oh man, you have so much. There's so much good stuff. You're gonna love it.
Yeah. Is it just the songs from World of Warcraft replayed, like a live stream? Is it podcast?
No, it would be the first kind of radio station / live stream that hosts kind of World of Warcraft shows, where they'd be casual shows about raiding, role playing, all kinds of good stuff.
Okay, and there's always something so there's always a show running at some point.
Yeah. It's a kind of multi-network. I don't know how would you. Yeah, multi-network.
Gotcha.
System shows. Yeah.
That's impressive. Yeah, it sounds. And is it all live or is it pre-recorded stuff?
Some of it is pre-recorded. Some of it is live.
Okay. Wow, yeah, that sounds awesome. I'll check it out for sure. So the first question I want to ask you, and the question I start out with every person I interview, is what's the first video game that you ever played that left an impression on you?
Ooh, the first game. I think it would be StarCraft 1.
StarCraft 1?
I don't know if you've ever played StarCraft 1.
I have.
You have? Well,
Yep.
That game was kind of the foundational game that got me into the whole kind of competitive scene, if you will. Everything from the strategic element of it to the lore element. I just absolutely love StarCraft 1.
Okay, how old were you when you started playing StarCraft?
Ooh, how old was I? I think I was 8. Yeah, I was 8.
Okay.
8 years old.
And it was StarCraft before Brood War or during Brood War? Or what got you into it? Like, what made you play StarCraft? Did your parents buy the game for you, or?
Oh, I think I was watching some professional StarCraft player, or
Hmm.
um, yeah. So my parents got this kind of magazine from, I think it was North Japan. I don't quite remember, but it had an article in it about StarCraft and these competitive players that pretty much make a living out of playing StarCraft.
Yeah.
And I find that just amazing that you
Right.
can make money playing video games, and that kind of got me into the whole Blizzard franchise.
Yeah, the and making money playing video games was at that time especially was like, wow, that's amazing. And then this week we have this guy make $3 million off of Fortnite, which is just insane, right?
Yeah,
How
yeah,
far we've
we've
come.
evolved a lot since then. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
And then, so how did you get involved in World of Warcraft? Because that's where most of your YouTube videos are about World of Warcraft. How did you get? When did you start playing that?
Oh, so yeah, I started with StarCraft. Afterwards, I transitioned into, I believe, Warcraft Reign of Chaos,
Mm-hmm.
then Warcraft The Frozen Throne, and then I saw a little booklet that came with the game announcing World of Warcraft's beta. I believe it's a vanilla beta.
Right.
I didn't know what that was. I didn't know. I was such a little kid back then. I didn't know what a MMORPG is, but eventually I got into World of Warcraft. I think after 2 months, it was available to the public. So not straight out of the gate, but 2 months after, and I got hooked quite quickly.
So pretty early on, you're playing, and
Yeah.
2 months they probably weren't. I don't know how long the server issues lasted with World of Warcraft when they first launched it, because I know initially it was awful.
Hmm.
I'm assuming 2 months afterwards it wasn't too bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't unplayable. Um,
Hmm.
what was the first class you rolled? What was the first thing you do you remember what the first thing you did in the
Oh, the
game was?
first class I rolled, I believe, was a rogue. I just loved the aspect of hitting with daggers really fast.
Mm-hmm.
I was very much into that whole kind of theme of being an assassin. That really appeased my childhood mindset
Yeah,
of being in the shadows and lurking.
being able to hit
Yeah.
people and not get hit back.
Yeah, I love that fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Stun locking people, I knew back then that was amazing that you can just disable someone for a long period of time. That was very appealing.
yeah. Yeah, rogues, the bane of a lot of people back in vanilla, just obnoxious. I mean, even today, rogues are one of those classes that you're like, I can't lock this guy down. He's obnoxious. Really, is probably the best
Hmm.
word for it.
I mean, how could you not play a rogue, right? You just instantly one shot someone. You see this really cool YouTube video of doing, I don't know, 1,000 damage, and then that's it. The fight is over. That's the whole extent of it.
Yeah, they don't get to fight back at all.
Yeah.
You stun lock them and then they're dead, and you're like, oh,
Hmm.
all right,
Hmm.
well, I want to play that class. So what did you do in World of Warcraft vanilla? Did you get to level up all the way to 60?
Yeah.
What was your life
So
like back then?
I eventually got to level 60. It
Mm-hmm.
took me quite a while. Uh, I believe I got to level 60 around AQ. Yeah, AQ. I unfortunately did not continue with my rogue. I leveled up a shaman instead.
Mm-hmm.
I played as a restoration shaman. And kind of the whole shaman fantasy appealed to me more than rogue after a while.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
honestly, for me, I've never played a rogue. I've tried them once or twice, but when I found a shaman, it was honestly the thing that I just fell in love with, and I've never even like considered another class. Every time I try to play another
Mhm.
class, I look at them, and I go, well, I can't throw lightning and I can't throw fire, so why am I playing this class? And yeah, shamans just they hit all the beats for me that I want when I'm playing a character really.
Mhm. Yeah, one of the big aspects that kind of converted me to shaman was the fact that I could not support my allies as a rogue.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing I could do. I knew about first aid and bandages, but that was the extent of it. I couldn't heal my allies. I couldn't give them buffs through totems. So yeah, I switched to shaman, and I didn't look back.
Yeah, I gotta imagine as a rogue, and I did this with my mage in Burning Crusade. So I had a mage was originally what I rolled. and I'm level 70 on my mage, and they asked me to go to a dungeon, and my guild wanted to go to do Magtheridon's lair, and I've told this before on the podcast, but the idea is, they said, no, we can't bring you. You're not going to do enough damage. What we need is a shaman. And I said, well, I have a shaman, but he doesn't. His gear is even worse than my mage. And they said, yeah, we don't care. Bring the shaman because we need your totems for our melee group. And that's how I became a shaman. Really, I was trying to be a mage, and I realized that the only thing I could bring as a mage was damage. And as a shaman, I brought more utility, and people wanted me to be in their raids just because I was playing a shaman. So that's probably what got me first starting playing a shaman. But then just the class fantasy, with the totems and the magic and the call to the elements is really what kept me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to agree a bit on the guild. Shamans bring way more to the table than mages do. That's unfortunate, but it's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but a geared mage, obviously, you're going to want to bring that. But then that takes so much work. While it's pretty easy to bring a shaman, and they don't have to have a ton of gear to be able to be your buffs don't scale with gear, so you don't need to do more.
Yep.
So where would you say your expertise lies at when it comes to World of Warcraft? Like today, what is your the thing you like to post on YouTube, your videos? What's your area of expertise?
So I've been playing World of Warcraft for a very long time. I think I stopped playing during Mist of Pandaria, I want to say. And ever since then, I've been playing on private servers in the background. So I've gone back in World of Warcraft's history, playing the original vanilla iteration on private servers, mainly because of the current expansion of World of Warcraft is just not doing it for me. I needed a challenge. So I looked into playing unconventional stuff in World of Warcraft. And that was the kind of only way I figured out I could challenge myself because the game was pretty much figured out. While vanilla, there were guides out there. We knew what to do, where to go, when to do it. We knew the best talents. But we didn't try unconventional stuff as a way of challenging ourselves. And that's what I want to do. I want to challenge myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, anything from playing weird tanks to weird DPS classes, DPS specs, I should say. And yeah, that's my focus. That's what I make videos about. If you do decide to go a certain avenue in World of Warcraft, I explore it. I tell you the limits. And yeah, I find pleasure in that.
Yeah, it's really cool seeing how you can not necessarily break the game, but make the game work in a way that nobody else is attempting or thinks. Well, I don't want to do that because it's not on this Wowhead guide. It's not right here. It doesn't tell me that. To explore the game and see what you can do is always fun, and the game really has way more depth to it than you expect.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of secrets, I would say, that are yet to be uncovered.
What's the strangest playstyle you've tried and found to be way better than you expected?
Oh, let's see. Tanking wise, this will shock a lot of people, but I would say priest tanking.
Wow.
That's priest raid tanking. I actually need to specify even here. Priest raid tanking, believe it or not, you can get much further in the game than you would think with the proper amount of effort.
Wow.
Not only from yourself, but also from your guild. Yeah.
What's the secrets behind priest raid tanking? Like, is bubbling yourself a thing?
So,
like, what's the reason that's so to you the most viable strange spec?
I would say it's the most engaging rotation in World of Warcraft. Honestly,
Okay.
I've like I said, I've played the game for so many years. I've played tons of rotations. This is the one that stood out as amazingly thrilling and engaging and really effort-based rotation, I would call it.
Wow. And you have a guide on this on YouTube? Do you have a video for this already?
I have a textual guide, which I will be releasing to the public quite soon. I'm still dotting I's and fixing
Gotcha.
up typos,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
do have other kind of guides that are somewhat uh, similar to priest tanking. I have a warlock tank guide that is very much in the same vein as a priest tank guide.
Okay, and what's the thing that if as a priest tank, how are you building threat? If because obviously you're going to get smacked by mobs, it's going to be hard to cast any spells.
So first, I'd like to put a disclaimer out there. Priest tanking is not for everyone, right? If this
Mhm.
is your first MMO, I do not suggest going priest tank. I suggest getting familiar with the PvE environment of raid first, right? For example, playing a mage and then eventually transitioning into priest raid tanking. It's not for everyone. How do you generate threat? So you generate threat through Mind Blast. Mind Blast generates an insane amount of threat.
Okay.
Now, Mind Blast, yeah. Unfortunately, priest tanking is much more feasible on the Alliance because the Alliance has access to paladins. Paladins have access to concentration aura,
Oh, right,
which
right.
what's it called? Spell pushback. It helps you with spell pushback. On top of that, I believe there's a talent called Improved Concentration Aura that helps with the spell pushback even further. On top of that, there is a PvP glove. I believe it's a blue called Martial Satin Gloves that gives you another 50% chance to avoid spell pushback from Mind Blast, and that gives you a nice, pristine 100% resistance against spell pushback when
Oh,
casting Mind Blast.
okay.
And that is, in part, one of the big threat generators for a priest raid tank.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. That I just can't even imagine. You can't dodge when you're casting though, right? Isn't while
No, you
channeling any
can't.
ability, you're not able to dodge or parry or
No,
anything?
you can't. You can't. You need to gear properly, which my guide covers.
Gotcha.
I have a stat priority list depending on each phase. I even have a detailed list of buffs out there, whether you're
Mhm.
looking to increase your armor, if you're dealing with a mostly physical damage dealing boss, or if you're looking more towards stamina to deal against a boss that deals more magical damage. So it gets quite detailed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's intense. I mean, especially because you're playing a class that's not meant to do that according to
Oh
the
no, yeah,
designers.
it's a big middle finger to the designers.
Yeah. What's is there a class that you tried or a spec that you tried that completely failed that you thought would be better than it is?
Yeah, one that completely fails that I don't try as crazy as I am. I don't suggest anyone else to try. Well, technically you can. I'm not telling you not to do it. It's mage. Mages unfortunately are at the kind of bottom of the proverbial tier list. If you were to make a kind of weird tank tier list, they're at the bottom.
Okay, so mage
Fortunately, they
tanking's
have
out. There's no
yeah, mage tanking's out.
you
Yeah.
can probably build threat with them, but you can't take any hits.
No, actually, funnily enough, their survival is quite good.
Okay.
It's more their threat. Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's mostly because they don't have spell pushback. You can only get spell pushback if you pick a talent in the fire tree called Burning Soul. But unfortunately, although that gives you spell pushback safety, it reduces your threat by 30%.
Oh
So,
yeah. That stinks. That's a terrible combination for attempting to tank.
yeah. Uh, that's actually quite funny if you think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the main reasons.
What's the first class you're gonna roll when Classic comes out? Are you gonna go straight to 60? What's your plan?
So yeah, I will try to get to 60 as fast as possible. Um, I know that's not everyone's goal, but
Mhm.
it is for me because I plan to be the kind of uh, uh, first shaman, first one to gain level 60, but also the first shaman to tank a dungeon, whether it be Stratholme or Maradon or anything. So those are my goals. I kind of want to be known around the community for this dungeon was first world tanked by a shaman.
Oh,
So yeah.
you want to not only be the first shaman to clear it, you want to be the first person to clear it with your tanking.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm also looking to do world first shaman tank molten core boss. So
Wow.
whether it be Gar, Baron Geddon, you name it.
A lot of those guys have nature resistance. How are you? It just seems like it's going to be really tough to build threat on them with an Earthshock.
Oh, yeah, there are solutions to that.
Okay.
Quite a few solutions. I've accounted for plenty of factors.
Wow. Are you gonna get some? Is there a way to lower their nature resistance?
In phase one, this early into the game, I don't believe so.
Okay.
No.
All right. But still,
I
you're gonna tank Molten Core while it's still progression, and you're gonna tank some 5-man 60
Progression.
dungeons.
I don't know about progression.
Oh,
It's
okay.
gonna because there's two different things. There's world progression,
Hmm.
which is when the whole world is on stage and you're waiting for that top guild, for example, method to clear molten core, and
Yeah.
after that they release guides. And then there's guild progression, which is your own guild that you're in. I'm looking more towards guild progression, perhaps a week or two after my guild clears molten core with a warrior, right?
Right.
This kind of 2 weeks waiting time gives me ample time to gear up, get accustomed with the fight if there's something new in WoW Classic, and yeah, that's the kind of schedule.
Gotcha. Yeah. Did you play in the classic beta? Did you get access to that?
I did not.
Yeah. Neither did I. I didn't get a chance to play. Only the stress test, the final stress test, or the second to last one. The final one's coming up, but we don't know when it comes out.
Oh, it was absolutely agonizing sitting in the background with plenty of stuff that I need to test for my guides.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I'm trying to think about making a video, I look at it and I go, oh, I would have to log in to be able to videotape that to show
Hmm.
people this thing. Or I could just put up a picture that I found online, and that's not quite the same.
Hmm. Yeah. I find myself scouring through the web trying to figure out if this is actually the same thing as on private servers, and even the basic stuff I can't find and I need to cross reference. Ugh, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's really difficult, especially when there's so many little things for like even like a dungeon like Ragefire Chasm. I was trying to like gonna build a guide for that, and I was trying to look through all the little details, and I was like, wow, I have no idea of how this works on classic beta. I don't know if
Hmm.
this is the same way. If what's written here is even the same. So it's gonna be interesting. All the stuff that's gonna come out
Hmm.
after classic finally launches, when we get a chance to actually record the stuff and find out how they work.
Yep.
There was a video, Tips Out was talking about leveling in Classic, and how leveling through dungeons is actually faster than leveling through the world while you're in the
Oh,
dungeon
I can comment on that.
with a 5-man. Yeah, and so I'm interested in seeing, because I know there's travel time between dungeons. So even if you mapped
Mhm.
out your dungeons and how you're going to go through them as a 5-man group, you still have to travel. So it is questionable whether or not it's faster. What do you think about that?
So yeah, there is something called Zerg dungeoning or
Hmm.
dungeon zerging, which is basically continuously doing one dungeon, just continuously, nonstop,
Hmm.
with a core group of friends, and you can kind of cater your group composition, right? You make sure you have a hybrid, for example, a druid that can tank, heal, and DPS, and you try to maximize your kind of group to clear this dungeon as many times as possible. You can even kind of optimize your talents, and technically, yeah, it. I have seen some data from private servers that it you will level faster doing
Hmm.
this kind of method than you would from traditionally leveling out in the world. One of the big reasons for this is because you don't need to rely on quests and quest items out there. So the whole server population, you don't get to deal with that horrible mess of waiting for something to spawn, whether
Hmm.
it be a mob or a treasure chest. You just ignore that. You just continuously run one dungeon and gain EXP that way. So that might be a popular method for people trying to get world first 60. Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about, so they did 13 to 16, I think it was. It might have been 12 to 16, but whatever it was, there was a specific amount of time he did RFC, and he said that the
Hmm.
experience on the classic beta was actually higher in dungeons than on private servers. He said private
Hmm.
servers had a lower experience gain in dungeons, so dungeons are actually more viable than they were on private servers. So when he did their run, they did it in, I believe he said 2.5 hours. They made it through from 13 to 16 in RFC, and then
Whoa.
Joanna, in the same amount of time from 13 to 16, did his leveling from 13 to 16 in about 3 hours and 10 minutes. So
Wow.
it was about 40 minutes faster with 5 people,
And,
just burning through
mhm.
RFC.
And Joanna's a hunter, so that's quite wow.
And John is like the number one leveler. Yeah,
Yeah, he's really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting to see that and to think that that's going to happen. But I don't think the hard obviously the hard part of that is you have to get 4 other people to want to be with you. And if you're going to go all the way to 60, you have to map it all out. And you can't get ahead of each
Yeah.
other, and you have to be all together completely. It
Yeah,
takes
there are guides out there on a few private server forums that have a detailed list of when to leave a certain dungeon at what level, what items to look out for. There are literally items you can get from a previous dungeon that enable you to go into another dungeon.
hmm
It can get quite intricate. Um, so maybe we'll start seeing the same thing in WoW Classic on the WoW Classic forums. I actually have seen a few posts on the official forums for people looking to group up and Zerg dungeon. So it's already starting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great way to level, especially in the beginning of the game when
Mhm.
everybody's fighting over mobs. Especially for
Oh.
Horde. Horde has such a huge advantage with RFC uh, because the
Mhm.
Alliance, you can't get there unless you corpse run in, and that takes a lot of time. And then you have to get 5 people to travel there all the way through Ratchet, and it's really it's a lot
Mhm.
just to get people to into RFC.
Yeah, for the orcs, I think the orcs would be just a straight line to Orgrimmar.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, but you have to
yeah,
be level 10 at least to go in, I believe.
maybe they go a bit into Crossroads. I can't remember level 10 exactly.
I was able to do it without ever going to the Crossroads
Yeah, yeah, that's
on the
possible.
stress test. I just went in there with a group of people, and I was level 11, and I was already
Hmm.
all I did was Durotar.
Wow.
But of course,
Yeah.
Durotar took me forever because everyone was fighting over all the quest mobs.
Yeah, that's it. You just need to, you just need to pass that level 10 hump and then
Yeah,
it's smooth sailing.
right.
Yeah.
So, what was your first raiding experience? When did you raid? What was the first raid you went into? Do you remember?
The first raid. Oh, the first raid I believe was Molten Core on my Restoration Shaman. Uh, by the time I started raiding, Molten Core was on farm, and we were waiting for the next. I don't quite actually remember. I remember it was Molten Core.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Baron Geddon. It was the first boss I healed. Yeah, that was my first introduction to raiding. It was not that fun because I was still a little kid and I had to join. Was it Ventrilo back then? I don't quite remember.
Ventrilo, TeamSpeak, and then
I think.
I think there was one more, but I can't remember it.
So yeah, I was very shy. It was kind of hard for me to speak up uh, when like 10 people are talking at the same time, and you don't really want to let people know that you're just a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow. And so Baron Geddon, when did you? So is raiding like what is your? You obviously like weird specs and trying strange things. Um,
Hmm.
is raiding a big part of your focus? Is it world content? What got you into the game? What makes you so excited to play it from that? Like because raiding to me is like when I finally find a group of people that raid and like getting really good at the game and playing as a group together every week and coming back. That's the thing that makes me love the game. What is it for you?
For me, it would be pushing the limits, pushing what the class is capable of. Right? There's such a amazing feeling doing something that was not really intended by the developers. That's kind of my motivation to yeah push the game. What's possible? Um, and yeah, when there's that amazing feeling, my heart is just pounding when I kill a boss that was not supposed to be killed. And I can't describe that feeling in Discord when you have plenty of people cheering you on, and it, it's an amazing feeling. That's keeps me up at night. Just the sheer excitement.
Gotcha. So you're gonna roll a shaman as your first class, and
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna rate? Are you gonna level elemental? Because there's all these guides saying elemental's the best leveling. You just have a lot of water. You're gonna go
People keep
enhancement. What's your plan?
mm, people keep changing their mind on what's best.
Yeah.
I will be most likely going enhancement, just because I don't like drinking mana that much, and enhancement just relies on auto attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, is a bit more survival in enhancement with the dodge talent and the block talent. So it helps you a bit more if you accidentally pull a mob when leveling. Yeah, and like I said, I don't like to drink mana and pay
Yeah.
attention. Do I have any mana pots? And ugh.
I love my searing totem. Honestly, like playing when I was
Oh
playing
yeah.
the beta, for the stress test and popping a searing totem down and just kiting mobs to it. I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
this is everything I wanted it to be. This is everything I want to play. It's like having a friend back.
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of passive damage that can be applied to a mob, whether it be through fire totems or your lightning shield or your flame shock. It's just like, even if you miss, something will be damaging the mob.
Mm-hmm. And your
Yeah,
auto attack, you just with the flame tongue weapon or wind fury
flint on
weapon,
weapon.
whichever
Yes,
one
that's true.
you're
Mm-hmm.
using, really.
Mm-hmm.
Shaman's it's really good, especially when you get your little nest set up of totems and you keep pulling mobs back to it. And it's a different
Oh,
play style from other characters. Like even a rogue has to go out and you're going after the mob. As a shaman, I
mm-hmm.
feel like I'm setting up my home base and I'm pulling people to it.
Yeah, it's like your little safe zone, your little headquarters.
Because I don't want to burn all my mana dropping new totems every time I move somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So have you played retail at all recently, or when's the last time you
Oh,
played retail?
so yeah, I stopped in Mist of Pandaria.
And you never
I
picked
haven't
it
looked back
since?
since then.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No,
I
go
stopped in
ahead.
Cataclysm, and then I came back for Legion. I think no, I came back during Worlds of Draenor for a bit, and then I came back for Legion for quite a bit, and then I'm playing again in Battle for Azeroth.
Mm. Yeah, I have to admit, the boss fights intrigue me a lot. Just the visual mechanics
Mm-hmm.
and the raid mechanics as well are very enticing. But I don't think I could get into it that much, just because it's not the part of World of Warcraft that I fell in love with. There is a nostalgic factor to me liking World of Warcraft. I have to admit that. But the current retail version doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, you can't really. I guess the specs is kind of you can choose to do more damage if you're a damage dealer. It's not like you can't shield spec. You can't get parry.
No.
Yeah, there's not very many
Yeah,
talents that change.
that's the thing about retail WoW. It's quite rigid, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is no weird spec in retail WoW. There's no rogue tank. There's just rogue damage.
Mm-hmm.
You fall very short if you try to do stuff differently in WoW retail.
There is I'm trying to remember what it is. I think it's a boot piece. One of these new benthic gear items that I picked up, and it actually increases the threat you generate. It makes it do damage in area like a chance on hit that the enemy that's attacking you will explode for damage, and it'll increase the threat you generate against them. So some of the items I feel like are out there to create these specs, but not necessarily is it. I don't know. It's one of these things going to take a long time to actually put something together that would work.
That's actually quite rare to find a retail item that has the word threat in it. I'd be interested to learn more about that.
I think they were boots or gloves or some
Boots?
kind of one of the benthic gear.
Mm.
One of the benthic items increases your threat, and then there's another one that when you get hit, you have a chance to like deal damage back to them. So I was like, oh, that's like a shield spike back from vanilla.
Oh yeah, I believe that's some sort of Azurite power, if I'm pronouncing it properly.
There might be one, yeah. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's
Uh-huh.
really interesting. Those parts of the game at least allow that. The talent system and the classes themselves do not. They are not built
No.
around the idea of allowing you to play some weird special way if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the idea that tank specs get specific things for free. Like you can't be dazed if you're in a protection spec in the game now. There's no daze mechanic for prots, and then they generate extra bonus threat for no reason. But no, they just generate a ridiculous amount of threat that DPS don't have to worry. So you don't even have to really worry about damage or people taking threat off you. But if you were trying to tank as a shaman, you would not get that bonus threat. Your Urshak does not generate bonus threat anymore.
Yeah,
All
I
that
believe
kind of
for
stuff.
these kind of more orthodox tanks, there's something in the background that gives them threat
Right.
that
Yeah.
you don't necessarily see. Yeah. a shame.
So it changes the game quite substantially. You can't really do crazy weird things as easily. And if you did, it would take you a lot longer because your DPS is now going to have to hold back in order to
Yep.
accommodate you trying to hold threat with your gear that's built for surviving, not for not for doing as much damage as possible.
Yeah, not to mention you would need to figure this out very quickly because the next patch is around the corner and you don't know if something's going to get nerfed,
Mm-hmm.
right? With WoW Classic, it's a bit different. You know what's going to be the next upcoming patch, so all that work won't go into waste, but it might on retail. You never know what's around the corner.
Yeah, they completely gut certain classes and change leveling up. I mean, as soon as a new expansion comes out, no one has any idea which the best DPS class will be, which the best tank will be. It's
Mhm.
kind of up in the air because of the way they change each class and the numbers that they decide on.
Yep.
So, classic WoW comes out. Are you expecting the Burning Crusade? Do you think that'll be a thing?
Oh, the Burning Crusade. I'm actually looking forward to the Burning Crusade. I have quite a few videos lined up, but eventually I will be transitioning into Burning Crusade guides,
Mm-hmm.
and I still will be exploring the kind of weird parts of World of Warcraft and what you can do. Uh, in Burning Crusade, there's the doors open up. There's more possibilities out there. It's much more safe. These kind of weird tanks are more possible. Is that a word? More feasible than they ever were, and I'm looking forward to that. Personally, yeah, I'd love to see a Burning Crusade legacy server. Yeah, legacy server. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little too early to call that because and you have to think about all the questions about how are they going to even do that? Are they going to copy your vanilla character? Are they going
Hmm.
to create a whole new server? Are they going to split their classic player base? Is there going to be enough players to do that? And a lot of questions if they even did that. But I guess we have to get through classic vanilla first before we even talk about the Burning Crusade because it's quite early.
Hmm. Yeah. One thing I see happening is the content patches in World of Warcraft Classic to be released much faster and much faster frequency than you would think because World of Warcraft is a very old game. Uh, Things tend to get stale. People want content faster. So between phases, I believe people will want it faster and faster. So I believe we'll get to Burning Crusade sooner than you think.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, people. I guess they have all the stuff. They just have to put it back in, I guess. And as
Hmm.
I wonder how many things there could be. I don't know. I do want to see people get Atesh and stuff, and
Mm.
all these things that were in the game, but nobody could get because only like 1% of the player base was able to actually go to Naxxramas. And now
Oh
with
yeah.
how much better everyone is, seeing all the things people are going to be able to do, and whether or not that'll even happen, because people might get burned out and they might realize that I don't want to do Naxxramas, and it might be. We'll see. I'm really concerned with picking my server. That's my big concern is how
Ah,
am I going to
yes,
pick a
server.
server?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're
Yeah.
really rolling the dice with that. You have no idea where people are going to be joining on day one.
Yeah. My goal is to join a server. Well, first of all, I will need to find a guild that would accept my shaman tanking services later on. But yeah, I'm looking for a good server, not too high of a population, not too low.
Yeah.
Focus on PVE, maybe a few top guilds here and there. It's quite a lot of research.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
day one. It's like choose one. You're like, okay, I guess there's gonna be, name reservations, so people
mhm.
will be able to decide which server they're going on before the game comes out. Coming up in August here, right around the corner. Um, do you have a couple names in mind? Are you gonna try to get Caperfin? Is that your name in WoW?
Oh, I'm going to try to get Caperfin,
Okay.
Caperfin TV, right? I get that's the kind
Oh,
of one
gotcha.
everyone
Yeah, yeah.
gets. Their name followed by TV. But yeah, the name, my name's not that big of a deal for me. I'm hoping for Caperfin. That's yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I really want Jamin. I don't want anyone to take it, but I don't think anyone will. It's just it's not one of those things that I'm worried about all that much.
Mm.
we'll see. I know my friends have joked about making a guild called Twitch TV Jamin so that they can all be in my guild and help me advertise. Uh,
Oh,
I
that's true. Yeah.
I don't think I'm
Mhm.
going to do that because it's going to be really hard to get people to join that guild that have not seen my stream or know what I'm talking or what I'm who I am.
Yeah, that's true. There might be a few people confused here and there.
Yeah, and they don't want to be a giant advertisement. Like, hey, do you want to join my advertisement guild? And they're like, no, I don't. I don't want to be part of that. So, what was your private server experience like? How many private servers have you played on? Are you playing on one right
Ooh.
now?
Yeah, I am playing on one right now. Should I mention it? Am I allowed to mention it on the?
Let's
Uh,
just not. I don't know if
no, yeah,
I don't
that's what I
know
thought.
why we would or not, but let's just not.
For safety reasons, yeah,
Just
let's
so
not.
that Blizzard doesn't find out where they are, because Blizzard, they're the number one listener. They're always listening. They're Big Daddy Blizzard.
Big- yeah, so I've been playing private servers for quite a long time. I believe I started in Wrath of the Lich King. So when Wrath of the Lich King was the uh, retail version
Mm-hmm.
of the game, I looked into private servers. And ever since then, I believe I've been playing on private servers, whether it be on Chronos 1 or Chronos 3, whether it be Nostalrius, Vanilla Gaming, Nostalgeek, uh,
Wow, I didn't realize how
Symmetry
I've never
World.
played on a private server because I never knew where to look for one, and I would only hear about them getting shut down, and I'd be like, oh, another okay. I didn't even realize there was one out there, and so every time I hear about one getting shut down, I'm like, I'm not even gonna try because I don't want my all my stuff to get thrown out that I'm working on.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. The big appeal, I believe, was brought to my attention video of someone instantly creating a level 60 and equipping gear, and they can see how the gear looks on them.
Mm-hmm.
That appeased my kind of child mind of, oh wow, I can save all this time, not level to 60. I can see right away how my gear looks like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and I couldn't play on the computer all the time, so I needed to spend my time wisely. And this kind of private server aspect helped me a lot.
yeah. You could be like, hey, we don't have enough gear for this. Okay, hey, server admin, can you give us the gear, please? And boom, you
Yeah,
got it.
yeah. I'm looking to level a warlock. How do I look like at level 60? I'm going to put a lot of time into it. How am I going to look like? And then you
Yeah.
just pop it in, take a look, and then start leveling that warlock on yeah.
Oh, gotcha. They wouldn't let you keep it. They would kick you back down.
I don't exactly remember, but
Okay. Yeah, I'd be like, no, no, you gave it to me now. I'm gonna keep it. I just keep it forever.
but yeah, to say my experience is low on private servers is very much a false statement. I've been playing for such a long time.
Yeah. If you stopped during Mist, then you've been playing. You've been playing in private servers ever since Mist of Pandaria. Is that correct?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so you haven't really taken any breaks or anything from World of Warcraft. You just haven't been playing retail.
correct.
Wow. That's a long time, and especially if you're gonna play it for that, you're gonna have to find some weird stuff to keep you entertained.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's not for everyone. If you're looking to kind of perceive the world from a different lens, I suggest it. But you need to be experienced a bit. You need to know what your class does, the limits, the standards, the talents a bit, right?
I'm
Mhm.
interested in seeing how the elemental on hit affects what was that dagger, then the necklace that the rogues can now use on private servers with plus fire damage. Um,
Blaze Fury medallion.
yeah, seeing how that scales with classic.
Oh, that won't happen. Blizzard will not let fire rogues be a thing
You don't think so?
because their DPS, even in when is that necklace available? Phase one? I don't
I have
remember.
no idea.
So yeah, it would make rogues do insane amounts of DPS straight out of the
No,
gate.
it would trivialize content even
Oh
more.
yeah, oh yeah, you're kidding. Tanks would have problem with threat, you name it.
It's funny. I just want to be an enhanced shaman that does enough damage to uh, get my raid spot on my own. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I guess that'll never happen. But that's like the weird spec I want to use. You know what I mean? I want the weird spec to be the thing that everyone's like, yeah, shamans can't do damage. You do.
Well,
You're 60% of our damage because you bring all those nice buffs.
there's a lot of negative stigma and misinformation. So enhancing DPS It's mostly because there's a lack of guides out there,
Mm.
and as well, we don't exactly know how the elemental and enhancement talents synergize with each other. We don't know whether a certain proc from an item triggers elemental talents. So we have kind of a rough estimation of where enhancement DPS is, but we don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
On some private servers, you will have enhancement shamans compete with mages, on some with fury warriors, or on some with hunters. It's very much dependent on server coding and how they treat certain talent synergy. But I can tell you, enhancement shaman is very much a effort slash gold based class. So the more gold you have, the more DPS you do.
Gotcha. Well, that sounds good. I can get a friend to teach me how to make some gold, and then I'll be good to go.
Yeah, gold is the great equalizer.
How so I know I saw your elemental shaman DPS guy. Do you think they'll be viable? Do you think that they'll be worth doing over enhancement or alongside enhancement?
So the term viable, here we're applying it
Mm.
a bit nonchalant. You can do viable DPS enough not to put the boss in enrage. If you're looking to do the most damage on a shaman in phase one, you're looking at a kind of mix between enhancement and elemental. Uh, but yeah, no, you can do viable DPS as a elemental shaman. There's neat little tricks involving uh, being, I think, 20 yards away from the boss to cast shocks and totems on the off chance that the boss has nature resistance. There's neat little tricks you can do.
Mm.
Let's just keep it at that.
And for me, the one thing that I'm always thinking about, but I don't have any ability to test it, is the question of, well, what if I just use all my mana as fast as possible and then auto attack and wait for my mana to regen and have like a lot of spirit gear or something? Is that not been shown to be a viable strategy or a viable idea?
So I don't suggest that.
Okay.
I suggest to downrank your spells. I go over this on my guide in
Mm-hmm.
excruciating detail. What consumables, what potions to get to help you with mana. Going out of mana really, really quick is a bit over exaggerated. It's not. You really have to spam max rank chain lightning and lightning bolt to get to 0 mana in such a short amount of time. Um, yeah, if everything plays out right, you're looking at never reaching 0% mana
Gotcha.
in
So
a
you
2 minute
think the
fight.
best idea is just to manage your mana so that when the fight ends, you hit 0.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember doing that. And all it's coming back to me in my memory of. I remember someone teaching me I remember I was healing on my shaman in what's the blood elf one in Burning Crusade with called not Sunwell but
I'm
the
not into the
spaceship
Burning Crusade just yet.
the spaceship in the
Oh,
Netherstorm. What is that with
or
Prince
the
Kel'Thas
n-
and the Ashes of Alar mount, and you can get that
Nether
there.
Storm. That's the region, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the name of that. Anyway, that instance, that raid,
Mm-hmm.
healing that one,
Tempest. Yeah.
and a Tempest Keep. That's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a guy teaching me, you have to use don't use your mana tide when you're out of mana. Use your mana tide when you're at 70% mana because
Mm-hmm.
it gives you back all that. And it like blew my mind at the time. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
because then I can use it a second time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Management,
Yeah.
as I like to call it, is very much an experience thing that you kind of get used to after a while. Yeah.
So are you gonna level a shaman? Is it another class you're looking at?
I have my eyes set on a shaman. I haven't decided on my alt just yet. Uh, Most likely by the time I get to level 60 on my alt, I see, for example, being in phase 2, maximum phase 3. So a lot of doors open up in terms of what classes can tank. If I do decide to go this kind of weird tank class route, I think, what did I last decide on? I believe Warlock. Yeah, I believe I was somewhat solidified on Warlock because by the time I would level my Warlock to 60, tanking on the Warlock was more feasible than just, yeah, Warlock tank.
Yeah,
That would
and
be my
having the Void Walker, you're probably going to tank a lot, easily tank a lot of 5-mans
Oh yeah, definitely.
with a
No,
Warlock.
the limits of a Warlock tank are much higher than people think.
And tanking, I almost forgot. I remember tanking Wailing Caverns on my Shaman back in Burning Crusade as I was leveling him, and yeah, it was great. It was fantastic. No problems doing that. You have Earthshock to generate threat. I don't have a taunt, but I need it because I had Earthshock. It was
Mm-hmm.
it's quite a thing to be able to put points into shield spec, and it's fun to really. You're right. It is fun to do things that you don't that the designers don't seem to intend. I
Mm-hmm.
would
Yeah.
love to see retail put a shaman tanking spec in the game.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, that's true, huh? I don't believe they've ever even addressed it or somehow. Um,
I
I'm trying
think
to
when they
think.
removed shield specialization from the talent tree on shamans, they mentioned it like they're not tanks. They never will be tanks. Like don't worry
Mm-hmm,
about it. But I'm hoping. I'm always holding out hope. One day that my shaman will be able to do all 4 roles:
mm-hmm.
range DPS, melee DPS, tanking, and healing. Yeah, I'll do it all.
Wow.
Well, thanks, man. This has been fun. I don't have any more questions for you. I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to talk about. Is there anything going on in the future that you're excited about?
In the future, not really. I'll be keep making guides, whether they be written guides. I have so much stuff, so much content down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I said, I don't just explore weird tanks. I also explore weird DPS specs, whether it be Elemental Shaman or even Melee Hunter. That's another one that people don't really consider, but there's a lot of potential behind it if the proper amount of effort is put into it.
Yeah, I saw your
So,
arcane priest guide.
yes, Arcane Priest revolves around the spell Star Shards from Night Elf Priests, which is the most simple rotation, I believe, in World
Yeah.
of Warcraft.
Is it just star shards? Is that you just keep
It's
spamming it?
Star Shards, but there's neat little tricks you can do. For
Okay.
example, um, if your guild will allow you and the boss fight does not do AoE, you can go into melee, and every time Star Shards would resist, which it does, you can weave in an auto attack. Uh, and in this situation, you would enchant your weapon with Shadow Oil. Shadow Oil is a temporary weapon enchant that scales with spell damage. And since you're playing an Arcane Priest, you have a lot of spell damage. So you're hitting the boss with your little dagger or whatever, and you're doing spell damage. So there's neat little things like this you can do to kind of diversify the rotation. Um, yeah, it can get quite complicated. Actually, yeah, I said it's simple, but it can get quite complicated if you want to push the class spec to its maximum potential.
Yeah, just doing it basic, just spamming until you resist and then sitting there and waiting. There is that little extra bit you could add just to make
Mm-hmm.
up for the fact that you resisted.
Yeah, so it triggers the global cooldown, which is 1.5 seconds. You can, during this 1.5 seconds, you can do anything from activating a oil of immolation, which is a potion that you consume that places a kind of fire aura around you that deals damage towards the boss. I believe it does 50 damage every 3 seconds, which is small, but in a long fight, it adds up a lot. You can also look to integrate Goblin Sapper Charge, which is a bomb you get from engineering that's instant. So you're looking to pad the damage a bit more during this resist period. Or you can just look to auto attack. That's a simple one as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Caperfin, for coming on. Anyone who's
Oh, no
listening,
problem.
youtube.com/Caperfin for all these guides. And then you're also on ClassicWow.live is where I see all your written ones. Is that where they all
Yes.
are?
Yeah, I have a lot of guides there. Most of them, I believe, on um, classicworld.live. Yeah.
Is that the best place for people to go to find your guides, or is it only is YouTube the best place for your written guides? I mean,
Mm, So if you're more of a fan of watching videos, go to YouTube. If you're more of a kind of textual person that wants to read stuff, copy and paste, I suggest the website.
Okay, awesome.
Classic Wildlife. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'll see you on Azeroth, man.
Oh yeah, it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening. If you would, please follow me on Twitter. It's at Jamin the Shaman. Follow me on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Jamin. And then follow me on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Jamin the Shaman. I would appreciate that so much. Those things are how you'll keep in touch with me, how you'll keep in and know where I am, what I'm doing, what's going on. Twitter's a big one. At Jamin the Shaman, because that's where I update everything. Like, hey, I'm streaming today. Hey, I'm about to interview someone live on stream. Check it out. So you can hear these interviews live when they're coming out. You can sit and chat and talk to others while the interview's happening. You can find out what's going on in the world, what's going on in Jamin's life. I would appreciate that so much. Please. Thank you. That was episode 9. Thank you so much, Caperfin, for being here. Thank you, listeners, for listening. I hope you have a great week. I'll see you next Saturday. Have a great evening, have a great life, and have a great morning.